going on, everybody? It's Kosei coming back at you with another video. And recently I switched from console to PC gaming, and I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. So for this video I want to go into things that I like, things that you should know about PC gaming before you get right into it, and then things that I don't like. So first off, things that I like. So much more customization when coming to a PC than when you're on a console. For instance, you could change graphics of any game. There's better frame rates. You can set limits to your frame rates. Essentially, you can switch things around to be exactly how you want to run them for your PC or how you want things to look. Then games just look better than on console when you play on PC. Console has caps on their frame rates, where PCs, it really only is capped by the PC that you have. You have a better PC, frame rates aren't capped as much. Graphics cards are changing from year to year and getting better and better and better. When you're on console, your graphics are kind of stuck to the model of the console that you have. And then if you don't want to get the newer gen console, your graphics are stuck there. Then there are so many more PC games that are exclusive to PC. I know that there are Xbox exclusives and PlayStation exclusives, but they don't compare to how many games are PC exclusive and how many games you can play. And then on top of that, how cheap some of the games are. PC gaming, there are a lot of sales that will come out on Steam, Origin, Epic Games, where they don't necessarily come out all the time on Xbox or PlayStation, and there are just a ton more sales on PC. And then you just have more control over the game. When using mouse and keyboard, you just have more control on where you are looking. There's no aim assist, which gives it the feel that it is all you that is shooting, in which it is. Just a little side note, if you want, when switching over to PC games, most games are optimized for controller, and thus you can play controller on games like Fortnite, Apex. You can play on Call of Duty. You don't have to switch over to keyboard and mouse, which is very nice, but I do highly recommend it if you are switching to PC. Also, contrary to popular belief, you don't have to build a PC, and it isn't always cheaper to build your own PC. Sometimes you could go and get a pre-built PC, such as mine. Mine was bought off of NZXT, and I was able to pick all the parts, and then they just put on top of it a $100 building fee. But all of their parts were pretty much in line for the parts that I could get anywhere else. And so I think it was a really good deal. And then plus when they sent it to me, it was all wrapped up and safely secure, so none of the parts were damaged or anything. I could go right in to setting up the PC and then playing games. And the last thing that I really like, and this is only my experience, your experience might be a little bit different, but people tend to be a little nicer and a little bit more mature on PC than in console. And the reason that I think that this is that consoles are cheaper than PCs generally, and so that there are a lot more kids and a lot more trolls and a lot of kids yelling and cussing and different stuff like that on console. On PC, it tends to be a little bit more grown. Like, people tend to be a little bit more grown when they're playing it. Costs a little bit more money, so they gotta invest into that. Don't get me wrong, there still are some people that are just outright disrespectful on PC, but it tends not to be as many. And what's also good is that most games have push to talk, so you don't have to hear what they're saying all the time. They'll press a button when they want to talk, which is kind of nice. Alright, and things to note when you're switching over to PC. First of all, it is a PC. Macs don't run games as good as PC, so you don't want to get a Mac, you want to get a PC. So when you're switching over, there are certain things, if you're not used to having a PC, that you're going to have to get used to. And if you've never had a PC in your life, it's going to take a lot of getting used to. So first and foremost, there are videos that you can look up to figure out what the hell you're doing on the PC. You don't want to go onto sketchy sites, of course. There are viruses, different stuff like that. Secondly, when just getting back to video games, there are going to be many stores. So like Origin, Steam, the Epic Games Store, there's Battle.net. There's many stores where you can get different games. It's not all going to be lumped into one store, so you got to keep that in mind as well. Now, when talking about the transition from controller to mouse and keyboard, if that is what you're going to be planning on doing with your PC, it is going to be very difficult. You're going to suck at first. But the only way to get better is to play the game. Now, little tips: the bigger the mouse pad, the better. You have a small mouse pad, you're not going to be able to move around as much, you're going to be swinging your arm a lot. It's not going to be as fun. Now the smaller the keyboard, the better. Now if you're planning on doing productivity tasks with your PC, you don't want to get the 60% keyboard that doesn't have any of the numbers or any arrow keys or anything like that. You're going to want to get a bigger keyboard, but you don't need the keyboard that has all the numbers if you're looking to game, because then it's going to take a ton of room on your desk, and of course it's going to restrict your mouse movement, restricting your gameplay. Now when looking at the mice, hand size does matter when it comes to mice. Now there are a ton of YouTube videos that go over this and then go over the specific mice that you can use. I use a Razer Death Adder Elite, and this mouse seems to be a perfect size for my hand. My hand doesn't cramp or anything, and I have not experienced that so far. Some people do experience that with this specific mice or this specific mouse. So looking up different mice and then hand size, and there's a bunch of tutorials on this. Looking all that up, you'll be able to figure out which mouse you want to go with when playing on PC. And then building on top of that, of course, when you switch from controller to PC, there's so many more buttons that you can press. Everything's got a button. Most mice, when you buy a gaming mouse, have buttons on the sides. The scroll wheel will move in certain directions. Some of them will have that feature. And so there's just a lot more customization to be able to do everything that you want to do. There's not going to be a lot of instances where you have buttons doing multiple things like you do on a controller. Last big thing to note when it comes to video games on PC is that not every PC is created equal. Frame rates will differ. GPUs will differ. CPUs will differ. So the more money you spend, essentially, you're going to get a better experience. But that does not mean that you can't spend on the lower end of PCs and still get a quality PC. Not everyone needs 240 frame rate, 300 frame rates to play Fortnite, you know. People can do very well with 120 to 140, which will be around the $1,000 mark. And then even some people will be perfectly fine with lower frame rates, and you can even get into like $800 gaming PCs. When looking at the GPU and CPU, you are going to have to upgrade those every once in a while if you do get a lower end one, because they will not play newer games that will come out, or when games update, you will need to have the better graphics to be able to play that game. So one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at a PC. And then lastly, things that I don't like. There's really nothing that I don't like about switching over to PC. I actually like it a lot more. Switching over to PC and playing games on it, and then going back to console, because I have a lot of friends that still play console and they can't play certain games that I want to play on PC, so I play with them on console, like Apex or Call of Duty. The one game that we can play together is Fortnite at the moment. I'm hoping that kind of extends to more games. But for the meantime, when switching back to console, games just don't look as good. They don't run as good, it's not smooth. When switching over to PC, games are much smoother, they look better. And to be honest with you, switching from controller to mouse and keyboard, I still suck, but it is all a learning curve, and I feel like eventually, you give me like another month or two of playing with mouse and keyboard, and I am going to be 10 times better than I was on controller. Thank you so much for watching the YouTube video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, drop a like on this video, and I hope you all have a great day.